Humans are actually motivated by the anticipation of reward, and making habits attractive will help you stick to them. In 1954, the neuroscientists James Olds and Peter Milner ran an experiment to test the neurology of desire. By using electrodes, they had blocked the release of the neurotransmitter dopamine in rats. And to their surprise, the rats simply lost the will to live after that. Also, they had no desire to eat, drink, reproduce, or do anything. A few days later, they all died of thirst. The human brain releases dopamine, a hormone that makes us feel good when we do pleasurable things such as eating or having sex. However, we also get a hit of feel-good dopamine when we simply anticipate those pleasurable activities. It's a way of the brain driving us onward and encouraging us actually to do things that give us a feel-good feeling. So, in the reward system of the brain, desiring something is at par with getting something, which takes us a long way towards an explanation as to why the kids enjoy the anticipation of Christmas so much. It's also why it is so pleasurable daydreaming about your upcoming hot date. We can also turn such knowledge to our advantage when we are trying to form habits. If we make a habit of something we look forward to, we'll be much more likely to follow through and actually do it. Temptation bundling is an excellent technique for this. That is when you take a behavior that you think of is as essential but not appealing, and you link it to a behavior that you're drawn to, one that will generate that motivating dopamine hit. Ronan Byrne, who was an engineering student in Ireland, knew he should exercise more, but he got very little enjoyment from working out. However, he did enjoy watching Netflix. So what he did was hacked an exercise bike, connecting it to his laptop and writing code that would not only allow Netflix to run if he was cycling at a certain speed but by linking exercise, literally, to a behavior that he was naturally drawn to. He transformed a not pleasurable activity into a pleasurable one. Immediate returns can encourage bad habits, as well. Smoking may induce you with lung cancer in 20 years, but at the moment relieves your stress and gives you the craving for nicotine, for which you may ignore the long-term effects of smoking and indulge in a cigarette. Thus, when you are pursuing habits with a delayed return, try to attach some immediate gratification to them. To apply this to your life, you don't have to be an engineer. For example, if you need to work out, but you also want to catch up on the latest A-list gossip, then you could commit to only reading magazines while you are at the gym. Similarly, if you want to watch sports, but you also need to make sales calls, promise yourself to give half an hour of ESPN after you talk to your 10th prospect. Very soon, you may even find those unattractive tasks likely to be enjoyable, since you'll be anticipating a reward that's pleasing while working them out. If you want to develop a new habit, then make that habit as easy to adopt as possible. We tend to often spend a lot of time on easy behaviors. Some are like, scrolling through social media, for example, takes zero effort, and thus it is effortless for it to fill up lots of our time, but doing 100 push-ups or studying Mandarin Chinese, in contrast rather, requires a lot of effort. Thus, repeating those behaviors daily until and unless they become a habit is tough. So making behaviors that are as easy as possible is the key to turning them into habits. Fortunately, there are some tricks we can embrace to make anything seem easier. The first and foremost thing is to focus on reducing friction. For example, a man named Peter has always been hopeless in sending greeting cards, but his wife never fails to do so. And why? Well, she still keeps a box of greeting cards at home, already sorted by the occasion, making it easy to send congratulations or condolences or whatever is called for. As she didn't have to go out and buy one basis the occasion that was called for, there was no friction involved. You can also use an approach that was similarly used above to increase friction for bad habits. For example, if you want to waste less time in front of the TV, unplug it and take out the batteries off the remote. Doing this will induce enough friction to ensure you only watch when you really want to watch and not otherwise. The second trick by making a habit easier in the long term is the 2-minute rule. This is a way you can make any new activity feel manageable. The principle used is that any activity can be extracted into a habit that is easily doable in 2 minutes. So, want to read more? Then don't commit to reading one book every week. Rather, make it a habit of reading 2 pages a night. Also, want to run a marathon? Then, commit to simply putting on your running gear every day after work. The 2-minute rule is a sure way to build easily achievable habits, and these can lead you to do greater things. Once you've pulled on your running shoes, you will probably head out for a run. Once you have read 2 pages, you are likely to continue. The rule recognizes that merely getting started is the first and the most important step toward doing something. Let us now look at a final rule for using habits to improve your life. Making your habits that are immediately satisfying is essential to effective behavior change. In the 1990s, the public health researcher named Stephen Luby, working in the neighborhood of Karachi, Pakistan, had achieved a huge 52% reduction in diarrhea. Also, pneumonia rates dropped by 48%, and skin infections by 35% among the local children. What was Luby's secret? A nice soap. Luby had known that basic sanitation and hand washing were essential to reduce illness. The locals understood this, too, and they just weren't turning their knowledge into a habit. This changed everything when Luby introduced a premium soap with the help of Procter & Gamble into the neighborhood for free. And overnight, hand washing had become a pleasing and satisfying experience. The new soap lathered quickly and smelled wonderful. Suddenly, everybody went around washing their hands because it was a pleasing activity now. Hence, the final and most important rule for behavioral change is to make habits pleasing and satisfying. This can be difficult for evolutionary reasons. Today we live in what academics call a delayed return environment. You turn up to the office today, but the return, which is a paycheck, doesn't come until the month end. Similarly, you go to a gym, but you don't lose weight overnight. Our brains, though, are evolved to cope up with the immediate return environment of earlier humans, who weren't thinking much about long-term returns like savings for retirement or sticking to a particular diet. They were more focused on immediate concerns that came by, like finding their next meal, seeking shelter, and staying alert so that they could escape any nearby lions. Instant returns, too, can encourage bad habits. Smoking can result in lung cancer in 20 years, but right now, it relieves your craving for nicotine and your stress, which means you may neglect the long-term effects and continue to smoke. So when you are chasing habits with a delayed return, try to attach some immediate satisfaction to them. For example, a couple wanted to get healthier, eat out less, cook more, and save money. To achieve this, they opened a savings account called Trip to Europe, and each time they avoided an outside meal, they transferred $50 to it. This short-term satisfaction of watching $50 land in that savings account provided the immediate pleasure they required to keep them on track for the final, longer-term reward. However, satisfying and pleasurable, we make habits, we may still fail to maintain them. So let's see how we can stick to our good intentions. Create a structure to keep track of your habits, using contracts and trackers. Whether you're trying to quit smoking or write your journal, controlling your own behaviors can be tough. Luckily, there are some necessary steps that can help. Habit tracking is an effective and straightforward technique. A large number of people have maintained a record of their habits. One of the most famous founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, maintained a notebook in which he saved adherence to some of his personal virtues, which included aims like to always be doing something useful and avoiding frivolous conversation. He noted his victory every night. You, too, can create a habit tracker, using a simple diary or calendar, and crossing off each day that you accomplish your chosen behaviors. You'll find it really helpful, because habit tracking itself is a satisfying habit. The action of crossing off behaviors each day will keep you motivated and feel good. A second technique is to create a habit contract that imposes negative results if you fail to accomplish the desired result. Brian Harris, who is an entrepreneur from Nashville, considered his habit contract very seriously. He committed to reduce his weight down to 200 pounds and signed a contract with his wife and his personal trainer. He identified a few habits that would help him reach there, including weighing himself each week and tracking his food intake each day. Then he created penalties for not doing those tasks. If he did not track his food intake, he would owe $100 to his trainer. If he did not weigh himself, he would have to pay $500 to his wife. This strategy worked, driven not just by his loss of money but by his fear of not being able to face two people who mattered to him the most. Humans are all social animals. We care more about the opinions of those around us, so simply knowing that someone is keeping an eye on you can be a strong motivational tool for success. So why not set yourself a habit contract? It need not be as detailed as Harris's. Consider making a commitment to your best friend, your partner, or one of your colleagues. If you agree upon a set of consequences for not succeeding, you'll be much more likely to stick to your habits. And as we've seen before, sticking to a positive habit, however small, is a sure-shot way to achieve big things in life. Summary: a small change in your behavior will not change your life overnight. But convert that behavior into a habit that you perform every day, and it will definitely lead to significant changes. Transforming your life is not about revolutionizing your entire experience or making big breakthroughs. Instead, it's about creating a positive system of habits that, when combined, deliver great results. Quick tip: use habit stacking to create new behaviors. If you wish to build a new habit, you could try adding it on top of an existing habit. For example, you want to start meditating, but you're not finding the time. Try thinking about those habits you do each day effortlessly, like having coffee in the morning. Then just add the new habit on top. Commit to meditating each morning when you are done with your coffee, and continue on the natural drive that comes from a habit you already have.